How are we doing today, guys? So today we've got a boot camp for beginners. So this is going to be a 20-minute session. We're going to be using 5 different exercises and we're going to be working for 40 seconds, resting for 20 seconds. We'll do it in a circuit format for 4 rounds and that will be your 20 minutes. So the exercises we've chosen today, this is all body weight by the way, so all you need is a little space like this. Exercises, we've got deadlifts. We have a prayer press up, so just coming in and out of child's pose in between press ups. We have forward lunges, alternating legs. We've got a prone windmill or a plank windmill, which we'll be doing on our knees as this is a beginner's program. And then we've got coal miners to finish the circuit. So if all those movements are familiar to you guys, then skip straight ahead to the session. Make sure you've had a warm up and I'll see you in a second. If you want a little bit of coaching on them, stick around because we'll go through them now. Bodyweight deadlifts, guys. We're going to try and do a full deadlift today. Okay, so we're not looking at just the top portion or anything like that, as I have in other previous videos. Now, foot set up exactly the same for a conventional deadlift. So we're talking hip to shoulder width apart, depending on your ratios. Knees a little bit soft, force them out, keep them tracking over the toes, keep the feet pointing forwards. Once we've got that set up, all we're doing is sticking our bums out, sliding our hands down toward our knees, and as we do so, we're keeping our chest high and our head ever so slightly elevated so we can keep extension at our spine. Now, when we go to do a deadlift in the gym or in real life, when we just pick something up off the floor, it's usually a little bit lower than knee height. So it's extremely important to understand how to get that extra bit of range without compromising posture or breaking the pattern that we're trying to achieve here. So it kind of gets broken down into 4 when we do this instead of the normal 1, 2. So now we've got hips, knees, hips, okay? So I'm hinging at the hips. Once I get to about here, hips don't really move much. I just bend at the knees and let my hands go in front of my knees here. But the whole time I'm still keeping my chest up, my head looking forwards to keep this nice extended spine, okay? Now, when you have a little bit more practice with that after the first round, second round, however long it takes you, you're just going to make that flow a little bit, okay? So it's not going to be hips, knees, hips. It's going to be hips and knees and hips, hips, knees and hips. Okay, but all the same rules apply as with a normal deadlift. Squeezing the glutes, tucking under, making sure these guys are working as you go to stand up. Now, prayer press-ups. So we're going to be doing these on our knees. If you are a little bit more advanced and this is more technique and your fitness levels and strength levels are quite good, you can do this with your knees on the floor, off the floor, but we'll do it with the knees on. So we all know this is our press up position, hands under shoulders, knees, hips and shoulder directly in line, and we've got that tuck on that we just spoke about. Now all you're going to do is press up and then you're going to rock back into child pose to take a very quick pause. Then you're going to come straight back in, make sure the hips lock in, press up, back out. The only reason we've got this child pose or prayer position in there is to break up the intensity a little bit because we're working for 40 seconds non-stop and there are 4 rounds of it. Forward lunges next. So feet pointing forwards, nice and upright, focal point, big step out, 90 degrees, straight line from knee, hip to shoulder, okay? No folding here. Hips extended, spines extended. Then when we push back, we're pushing through the heel, not the toe, to stand. Repeat, alternating legs. Prone windmills, so you're in the same plank position as you were a second ago. Knee, hip, shoulder in line, or if you're doing this with your knees up, ankle, knee, hip, shoulder in line. And then all we're going to do from here, you'll probably want your hands a little bit close together for this, and your knees a little bit wider for stability. Okay, all we're going to do is on an inhale, we're going to raise up and go as far as we can into a rotation, and on an exhale, close and repeat. So this is going to be for our core, guys. We're going to feel constant tension in the shoulders because they're holding us up. This is really for the core and stabilizing it through a mini rotation. Okay, so that's what we're really looking at here. And breathing is key here, because to get the rotation, we need to try and keep our hips where they are and get a rotation at the torso. Okay, because if the hips come with us, we don't really get a rotation. And the reason breathing is key is because when we breathe in, it excites muscles responsible for opening our bodies. When we breathe out, for closing our bodies and giving us a little bit more pressure here, which we're going to need as we control the movement. Okay, so make sure you inhale as you open, so you can get a bit further into that range of motion and get the torso to come offline with the hips, so these muscles here can begin to work. Coal mine is next, pretty much like a squat. I'll show you a couple reps first. Okay, so you can see it's very, very similar to a squat. We've just got a little bit of a rotation in there. Now, this isn't really a rotation for the muscles around here or anything like that, because as I mentioned earlier, if the hips stay in one direction and the torso goes to another, you get a rotation here. If they both move together, it's not a rotation. So as you can see, when I turn that my hips and my torso are still in the same line, there's a tiny bit of rotation, because when you open here, then you do open a little bit more here and go a little bit off center from where your hips are pointing, but not too much. So you get a little bit of work here, but not really. What we're really trying to do here, guys, the reason we've got that sort of chucking motion in there is to just make it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more functional, okay? And to get you guys used to using a kinetic chain and feeling that all your power is coming from the floor. Okay, so when you go to, in real life, try to move anything from the floor into the transverse or the frontal plane, that way, whatever way it is, you'll understand and be able to use the whole body a little bit more. Okay, so those are the 5 exercises we are using. Make sure you're warmed up and let's get straight into it. Okay, here we go, guys. Let's get started. On your feet, set your stance for your deadlifts. Take these really slow if this is the first time you're doing a full conventional deadlift. Okay, so we're sliding down, hinging at the hips, bending at the knees, coming up, coming forwards. Okay, back, down, up, forwards. If this is familiar, go a little bit quicker, make them flow. If you're still getting used to it, go with me. Back, down, up, forwards. Keep the head looking forwards, keep the chest high. Nice and straight. Keep it going. So, back, down, up, forwards. And the range you want to be using, guys, when you're going down is as far as you can to the floor without rounding your back, knees bowing in, anything going on like that, keeping form. Prayer press ups next. So get into that kneeling plank position or the full plank position. If you're going to be doing this off your knees, and when you're ready, press up and then rock back, quick rest, straight back in, and off you go. Okay, so the kind of rhythm we're looking for is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So keep it going, guys. Get a rhythm with the breathing as well. So, another reason that we're coming in and out of that prayer position is to get you guys used to making sure that your pelvis is tucked before you do anything else in that position. Okay, we've got forward lunges next, so up on your feet, guys. Both feet pointing in the same direction. Upright, big step, and off you go. as I've mentioned before in previous videos, guys, pay attention to that back foot. We can see our front foot, so it's very easy to get that to land straight, but very often we get that going on because we can't see our back foot. So really feel that they're both pointing straight. If you need to stop and look down between, make sure that that's straight as you leave. Absolutely fine. Take your time with it. Prone windmills. So this is the one where we're focusing on the breathing, okay? So when you're ready, get into that kneeling plank position. Make sure the hand is directly under the shoulder and try and get as much of a rotation as you can. It's also helpful to think of trying to keep your hips square and pointing at the floor. Nice and slow, guys. Keep focusing on the breathing. Remember, you can have your hands close together and your knees or feet, if you're doing the full version, wide apart to help with stability and to help you keep those hips from rocking. Okay. Make sure when that hand returns, it returns directly under the shoulder. Okay, coal miners next, and then that's one round done. So same rules apply as the squat. Symmetry with your feet. This time I'd go a little bit more open if you normally have them pointing forwards and quite close together. So symmetry, unlock, force out, keep them forced out, and then squat down, and as we push up, turn and open. I'm going to do a few in slow motion for you guys. So as you can see, as I initiate the standing up, I'm already turning that foot, which is turning the knee, the hip, the torso, the whole lot. And as I'm coming down, that foot is turning, and before I begin my bend, that foot, that heel, has grounded. Good, okay. One round down, 3 to go. Those movements should be a little bit more familiar. Some of them you may have not done before, but now you've done a round of them, you can get your skates on a little bit. Go a little bit faster. Deadlift's probably the most complicated for those of you who haven't done it before, so take your time on that one. So feet set up, and we're going hips, knees, knees, hips, back, down, up, forwards. And as you get more familiar with that, guys, try and integrate a bit more back and down, up and forwards, back and down, up and forwards. And don't forget to squeeze those glutes on the forward part. As soon as you finish the upward and you begin the forward, that's when you're driving hard, okay? You're really pushing, popping, thrusting those hips forwards and squeezing your glutes, okay? It's no good popping them forwards and then squeezing your glutes at the end. It's got to be from this position. Squeeze to thrust forwards, not come forwards and then tuck at the end. Right, for the prayer press ups. Okay, you guys know what to do. Hands on your shoulders, hips tucked. Here we go. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Like I said, guys, your main focus here is making sure that when you pop back into that position, your pelvis is tucked, okay? We don't want any coming in and then tucking the pelvis. We want to get used to tucking it as we come in. As for the press up, all the same rules apply. Use all the range of motion available to you. Good. Okay, forward lunges next. I should have used a mat for this. My knees are starting to hurt. Okay, so feet pointing forwards, as we mentioned. And also remember, it's not a high impact exercise, but it is an impact exercise. So bend and absorb as you land, okay? Should be silent to land. You can kind of do whatever you want with your hands, not too fussed. I personally, if I'm not holding anything or doing anything specific, like to counterbalance, okay? Opposite limbs go forwards and backwards together to counterbalance the weight of each other. You should also notice there's a bit of a speed difference between the two different phases. It's a little bit slower on the way down so I can absorb, get my foundation, get my balance that I can then explode off of. Good, okay. Prone windmills. Okay, hands close, feet on knees wide. Keep the hips pointing down. Breathe out, inhale. Breathe in, inhale as you open. Okay, here we go. Really take your time with them. Try and feel the rotation at your torso. And remember that hand is going to come exactly back to underneath the shoulders where it came from. Keep your glutes nice and tight as well. That will help to keep everything stable and allow you to come into a rotation at the torso. Okay, coal miners. So I'll go slow to start a little bit, then I'm going to speed up because the real value of this exercise comes when you make the upward portion powerful. So you have to decelerate. That's what really works the body quite well there, as well as I mentioned before, teaching that kinetic chain. Okay, here we go. Good, and notice the breathing. My exhale matches the speed of the explosive movement, and it's also quite sharp. I'm not doing this, okay? Reason is, I'm going into an explosive mini rotation, so I need support here. And when we breathe out through a smaller hole in our mouth, making that sound as opposed to or that, we increase the intra-abdominal pressure and support our spines better. Right, deadlifts. Feet set up, chest up, shoulders back and down, bum out, slide, knee bend, up, forwards, with the glutes working. Keep those arms nice and close to the front of your body. I actually prefer them to, with a bodyweight deadlift, touch the whole time, thighs over the knees, so on and so forth, just to get used to keeping whatever I'm picking up close to my center of gravity. Good. Okay, prayer press ups next. So get yourself set up, wrists directly under shoulders. I know I keep reminding you, but as you get tired you're going to forget. And here we go. Make sure we're using the full range of motion, guys. Going as far as we can and extending that elbow on the way up. Okay? And try and keep this into 4 different stages, okay? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? We don't want to be coming in and out like this for this exercise because that changes the push from a horizontal to a sort of vertical push. Is an exercise, not what we're doing today. Okay, get yourself set up for forward lunges. A few things to think about: speed difference, when to breathe, feet pointing forwards, staying upright, absorbing pressure, counterbalancing, okay? Whichever one you're struggling with, hone in on that. Or hone in on that, I don't know what, is it home in or hone in? I don't know. Remember, the breathing matches the speed of the movement on both phases. Okay? Really strive to get that back knee as close to the floor as you can without touching it. The reason we don't touch it is because it forces us to absorb better and control better. Okay? If you're smashing your knee into the ground each time, you get more range, but it's going to hurt. And you're not teaching your body to absorb and control, which is what we really need here. Prone windmills. Hands close, feet or knees wide, wrists directly under shoulders, glutes tight. Here we go. I hope you guys have a mat under your knees, because this is probably the hardest part of the exercise for me at the moment. The pressure on my knees. Good. Okay. Get ready for coal miners. Really try and feel that kinetic chain that we've got going on. It's like when you throw a ball or throw a punch, right? Throw anything or kick, okay? It all comes from this rotation. Get our power from the floor, from having a strong foundation and then pushing it into the floor. So imagine you are actually shoveling coal, okay? Imagine you've got a spade and feel that's not your arms lifting that, it's the entire body through that chain. Ankle, knee, hip, through the spine, and then through the joints of the arm. Good. The other thing I like about that exercise is when you're decelerating, you have to position your foot symmetrically quite quickly without seeing it. So it really forces you to think about it, make that a little bit more natural, just coming into a squat stance or popping into a squat stance with symmetry. Okay, here we go. Oh, no, deadlifts. How many of you actually copied me there? I'm not paying attention. Back and down, up and forwards. This is your last round. Try and flow, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep thinking about the glutes. Remember, they are the driver of that forwards motion, okay? Squeeze them together like you're trying to hold a piece of paper. Keep the head slightly elevated, the chest high. Get as low as you can to the floor without breaking form. Good, okay. Prayer press-ups. Okay, get yourselves into position. And remember, it's 4 separate movements. 1, 2, 3, 4 is the rhythm you're looking for. Okay, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. Okay, so we've got keep it going, guys. Nice and fast this round. Get as much as you can out of it. Whatever energy you've got left to expend, now is the time to expend it. Okay, just do not sacrifice form, okay? Form is king here. Good, okay. Forward lunges. Alright, get yourselves ready. Feet pointing forwards, nice and upright. Okay. Okay, so it's going to be a big step, 90-90 at both knees. Keep that extension at the hip and the spine. Here we go.
Round 18.
Absorb, explode. Breathe in, breathe out. Make sure your hip width apart the entire time, okay? We don't want to be stepping out and crossing feet or going too wide or anything. Keep the hips, the feet at hip width. Okay, 2 train tracks and you're stepping from the rail onto the rail, not onto the stones, on the middle or the outside. Prone windmills. Okay, last one guys. This one you don't want to speed up for intensity. We're still looking for range of motion, control, breathing. Okay, hands close, knees wide. Here we go.
Round 19.
Okay, just coal miners to go and then you're done. So really put the skates on, make that nice and powerful, breathe out short and sharp and make a ch sound, not a or a okay? You guys are probably at home, don't need to worry about someone hearing you breathe loud. Okay, set the stance, here we go. Good, time, relax. Okay, you guys can rest, have some water, do your thing for a bit. Okay, so that's you done. Now, hope that all went okay. If you found this video useful, want to do it again or anything, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the favoritey thingy that allows you to just go into your favorites and select this video if you want to do it again. Thanks for joining me. Have a good day. See you later.